All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. So I want to talk to you guys today about this new IFBB professional natural bodybuilding show. This was called the Ben Weider Natural Pro Cup. This was held actually last weekend in Montreal, Canada. So this was a professional and an amateur show. They had an NPC division, a CPA division, and of course IFBB professionals. Now, to my knowledge, there wasn't a whole lot of videos and photos put out of this show, so it's kind of hard to get an idea of what all there was there. That's why this video is kind of late after the fact, because I was looking for more information on what actually went down. So they did have a pro classic physique, a pro men's physique, and pro bodybuilding, but it appeared the bodybuilding was 212. So the guys that were competing in the pro natural bodybuilding were either 212 pounds or under. Now, I first heard about this show maybe 9 or 10 months ago, and I was pretty excited about the idea that the IFBB was trying to go in this direction and offer the opportunity for natural competitors to compete. But based on the photos that I've seen so far, there wasn't a whole lot of guys that actually showed up, especially not in bodybuilding. It looked like classic physique had a pretty decent turnout. But based on what I've seen, there was only 2 guys in bodybuilding, a handful of guys in classic physique, and then a handful of guys in men's physique as well. So in this video, I wanted to talk a little bit about the results of this show, the drug testing at this show, and overall, my opinion of this show. So let's talk about the drug testing first. I was a little bit disappointed in the drug testing here because it wasn't as strict as I really wanted it to be. I feel like if the IFBB is going to do this right, they need it to be as strict as possible. And I would think at least, adding a polygraph test to this testing would make it a little bit better. So the drug testing for this show was urinalysis. So urinalysis is a decent way of drug testing, but it's one of the easier ways for athletes to actually cheat the test. There's also hair follicle testing, carbon isotope ratio tests, and things that are a little bit more specific and a little bit harder to cheat. And of those 3 choices, I think the urinalysis is one of the easiest ones to beat. Now, it says that competitors are advised that the use of any performance-enhancing substances at natural contests are prohibited. And then it also says they reserve the right to request any competitor to present himself or herself at any time at a tested show in the IFBB, CPA, and NPC for an approved doping control test. It also says failure to appear or refusal to submit to the test will result in the same penalty as a positive test result. Penalties for the positive test result include suspension of membership from the IFBB, Professional League, NPC, and CPA for a minimum of 1 year for a first-time offense, and also the names of the athletes testing positive. The results will be published on the official IFBB, NPC, and CPA websites. So I do think the punishment is a pretty good step. I mean, losing your pro card for a year, I think is something that pretty much no IFBB pro wants to risk. So the stakes are pretty high here if you test positive. I think maybe a lifetime ban would be even better. But just the fact that you're going to lose your pro card for a year, I think is a pretty high incentive not to even bother trying to cheat this drug test. Now, for the pro show, it says each winner and 1 random test for all the classes will be tested by urinalysis. Now, personally, I know this isn't logistically as easy. I know it's expensive, but I would like to see every single person that enters this competition get tested. I've never really liked the idea that we're just going to test the winners of each class and do 1 random test in addition to that. I know it makes more sense, from a money standpoint. It's a lot cheaper. It's expensive to test everybody. It's less practical to test everybody. But I think it would be a lot stricter and really discourage a lot more people from trying to cheat these tests if everyone was getting tested and everyone knew they were getting tested no matter what. A positive test will result in the first place award being returned with no prize money, and also the competitor will be banned from participating in any sanctioned IFBB Pro League event from 1 year to the date of the competition. If the winner is tested positive, the competitors in that class will all move up 1 placing, and the prize money will be sent out accordingly. So hopefully everybody that moves up, if the winner tests positive, will all be tested as well. So then for the amateur portion of the competition, it was essentially the same rules. Now let's go over some of the banned substances here. They didn't list everything, but what they're testing for in this urinalysis as far as steroids. I'm not going to read you guys the whole list. You guys can see what's here, but just to name some compounds you guys are probably familiar with. SARMs are banned here, which is what I've been saying for a long time, that people think that SARMs doesn't qualify as taking steroids or performance-enhancing drugs. But most natural shows, a lot of them now are listing SARMs as a banned substance and you can't use it. You've got Clen on there, testosterone's on there. methyl testosterone, the usual suspects are on there. So pretty much anything that you would expect. And again, these are just some. Now they're also testing for diuretics here, which I think is actually a very good thing. As you can see, there's like about 10 different diuretics listed on this list, none of which I've ever even heard of because I've never taken anything like that. And then they also provide a list for the full list of banned substances. So just to give you guys a basic idea of what they were looking for here. Now, also at the very bottom of this page, it said to apply for therapeutic use exemption, print and fill out the form above. Once completed, the form can be scanned and emailed. And then it gives an email address. So I'm guessing this is referring to if you're on like TRT or something like that and you still want to compete, which I think is kind of weird. I think you should just have nothing in your system at all. And there should be no exemptions if you want to compete in a natural show to win prize money. So as far as the pros go, there supposedly was some prize money here, but I couldn't find anything anywhere actually listing how much each division actually won. But the more important thing to me here, and the thing that really stuck out to me about this competition, was really the amateur incentive to compete. I mean, at the amateur show here, if you're a natural guy or girl, there's 7 pro cards handed out at this natural show. So if you're a natural competitor and you want to become an IFBB pro, this is basically the competition where they're offering you a route or a venue to do that. And I think that's the coolest part about this show. Drug testing aside, people possibly cheating the test aside, prize money aside, the amateur division, I think, is the most exciting part about this. And I think it should have had a lot more competitors than what I've seen in the photos, because a lot more people should have competed here and tried to earn an IFBB pro card the natural way. And nowadays, there's very few ways to actually do that because most shows that are pro qualifiers are not tested shows. The Team Universe, I don't even know if that's still an option anymore to win a pro card naturally. That used to be, the main way that people would do it. But this right here, it's a huge opportunity for natural competitors to turn pro. And that's why I was so excited about this show. Not so much the fact that there was a pro division. I thought that was interesting that there was a pro natural division, which would give the people who turn pro at this show something to compete in next year if they only want to compete against other naturals but still compete professionally. But these are IFBB pro cards, so they could go and compete at any show, not the Olympia. I believe this year this was not an Olympia qualifying show. They're talking about maybe having it for next year as an Olympia qualifying show. But right now, you can't qualify for the Olympia by winning this show like you can with most shows. But you could win your pro card here naturally and compete at pretty much any show except for like the Arnold Classic and the Olympia as an IFBB pro in the IFBB, which I think, again, is a very, very cool thing. And I really, I got to take my hat off to the guys that are running this show. Gary Udit, I believe, is one of the main people behind this, and Ron Hatch. I think the idea behind it is fantastic. Maybe the execution wasn't the best. I think the testing could be better. Maybe add a polygraph test or maybe just anything to supplement or something stricter than the urinalysis, because I think a lot of people are going to try to cheat that, especially in the amateurs. For the opportunity to get an IFBB pro card, I think that's the main thing that people are going to be willing to cheat a drug test for. I'm sure whatever the prize money was in the professional ranks wasn't a whole lot, considering classic physique at the Olympia. To win the classic physique Olympia was $30,000. So I'm sure there wasn't an insane amount of prize money on the line here to where people were willing to really cheat a drug test to win a show like this. But the amateurs, I think, have a tremendous incentive to cheat these drug tests. And I think they maybe should be a little bit stricter than a urinalysis. So I do have photos and I do have the scorecards from the 2 main categories I think people are going to want to see here. I've got men's classic physique and also the bodybuilding category. So in men's classic physique, you had R.D. Caldwell taking the victory. He's an Ohio guy from right here near me. I've actually met him on a couple of occasions. Really nice guy. Tremendous physique. I think he definitely deserved the victory here. I think he is legitimately natural. And I think hands down, he did have the best physique on stage. I don't really think it was much of a competition. And I think this photo you're looking at here is a top 3 photo. So in second place, you had Dimitri Williams. And in third place, you had Daniel Strong. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys 4th, 5th, and 6th, even though they're not in this picture. You had Raymond Hay in 4th, Justin Freeman in 5th, and in 6th place, you had Anthony Williams. So that was your natural men's classic physique competition. So if you guys are natural out there, you're looking at these physiques and you think you can do better, or you think you're just as good, or you think you could hang with this lineup, this is definitely a show to consider. Maybe try to go to this show, compete, get your pro card, and compete with these guys. Now, for bodybuilding, on the scorecard, it does just say men's pro bodybuilding. It doesn't say 212. I saw another picture where it referred to it as 212 bodybuilding. But in this one, again, only 2 competitors. I'm a little bit disappointed by that. So you had Han Jin Choi taking first there, and Peter Von Cardo taking second there. So I'm a little bit disappointed about the pro men's bodybuilding lineup, but again, because this is the professional division, there's probably not a whole lot of guys that are already IFBB pros that are natural or claim to be natural. So to compete here, you had to already have been a pro, because this is the pro competition. So I can understand why there wasn't that many guys that showed up, because probably a lot of the guys that became IFBB pros were not natural when they did so, and probably still are not. So like I said, hopefully we have a lot more people compete in these amateur divisions and earn their pro cards, come back and compete next year, and make these divisions grow even more. Same thing for classic physique, if you think about it. I mean, these guys already had to be pros, and they had to be natural pros. So you're really seeing the best of the best natural guys here, assuming they are natural. And looking at the pictures of these bodybuilding guys, I think the condition on these guys was fantastic. The guy that won had great leg separation. He had great arms. Just overall, I think this was a really good natural show, and I do believe that both these guys were natural. It doesn't list their body weights or anything. Like I said, I wish there was a lot more information on like how much these guys weighed, how long they had been pros. Their ages and all that stuff, I think, would be interesting to see and give us a little bit more perspective on the natural aspect of this competition. But overall, I think it was exciting. I think it was cool to see. Here's some men's physique photos here. Again, I think pretty much everybody in that pro men's physique lineup looks natural to me. So I do think there's no clear guys here that really stand out to me as guys that I think cheated the test or anything. I went through the photos of the amateur show as well, and the guys in the amateur definitely look to be natural guys as well. I've been to a lot of natural bodybuilding shows, actually, around here in Ohio and Cincinnati. Definitely looked like a natural bodybuilding show on the amateur ranks. So I'm a bit disappointed by the pro turnout, but I'm not discouraged by it, because it does make sense that you already had to be a pro and you had to be a natural pro, and the opportunities to turn pro as a natural are very slim, few and far between. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about this Ben Weider Natural Pro Show, the first annual Ben Weider Natural Pro Show. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And as always, Nick Strength and Power signing out.